Now today marks the 10th anniversary of the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370, one of the greatest aviation mysteries.
What did it look like?
Like a wing. It was the wing off a bloody aircraft.
Tear at the fabric of reality that a whole jetliner just disappeared.
When Flight MH370 suddenly vanished from the air without a trace, it became a mysterious phenomenon that captivated the world. In the wake of this enduring mystery, a flicker of hope ignites as a new clue comes to light. After years of unanswered questions and relentless investigation, this enigmatic chapter of aviation history may finally be on the cusp of resolution. As the veil of uncertainty lifts, we embark on a journey of discovery, unearthing the poignant story of Flight MH370. Join us as we delve into the clue that will unravel all the mysteries of Flight MH370, the night it vanished. It all began on a cold March morning in 2014. The clock struck 12:41 a.m. on March 8th when Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370 took off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport. It was on its way to Beijing Capital International Airport in China, a journey expected to last just over 6 hours. The airplane was a Boeing 777-200ER with the registration number 9MMRO. This plane wasn't new. It had been in service for 12 years. The person in charge of flying the plane was Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, a highly experienced 53-year-old pilot with 18,365 hours of flight experience. Captain Zahari was known for his love of flying and often shared his passion for planes on social media. Beside him in the cockpit was First Officer Fariq Abdul Hamid, a younger pilot at 27 years old with 2,763 hours of flying under his belt. This particular flight was supposed to be a training opportunity for him, a chance to grow in his career, but it ended up being his last flight. There were also 10 flight attendants on board, all ready to ensure the 227 passengers had a safe and comfortable journey. These passengers included 5 little children. While most were from China, the airplane carried a mix of people from around the world, including Malaysia, Indonesia, Australia, India, France, the USA, Iran, Ukraine, Canada, New Zealand, the Netherlands, Russia, and Taiwan. The mysterious journey of the airplane began as it smoothly rolled down runway 32R, ready to embark on a northeast path over the vast South China Sea. Once it soared to an altitude of 35,000 feet, the crew made a routine check-in with Kuala Lumpur Air Traffic Control to confirm everything was going well. Shortly after, as the plane prepared to cross into Vietnamese airspace, the Malaysian air traffic controllers sent a standard farewell message, like saying goodnight before turning off the lights. Captain Zahari responded with, "Good night, Malaysian 370, a typical way for pilots to transition from one control region to another. And then, the unexpected happened. Just as the plane entered Vietnamese airspace, it vanished from radar. The transponder, the airplane's ID card that beams essential info to those below, suddenly went silent. The plane turned into a ghostly figure in the night sky, leaving those on the ground completely blind to its whereabouts and condition. In an instant, it seemed to disappear into the shadows, sparking deep concern and confusion. The mystery deepens. Before the plane vanished, there were no emergency signals sent out. The weather seemed fine, and there were no signs of mechanical issues. But at 1:30 in the morning, a twist occurred. Both the military and ordinary citizens observing radar in Malaysia spotted the plane, yet it was not in its expected location. The plane had taken a surprising turn and retraced its path, heading southwest across the Malay Peninsula, an area rich with trees and land. But it didn't stop there. It changed course once more, flying northwest across the expansive Strait of Malacca. The reason behind the plane's strange maneuvers remains unknown, and people have been skeptical with lots of questions on everyone's mind. But was there a technical issue? Did someone on board intentionally alter the course? Or was there another explanation? During this perplexing time, another plane's pilot attempted to make contact with Flight MH370 through a special emergency channel. They were relaying a message from the controllers managing Vietnamese airspace, urging Flight MH370 to get back in touch. After some time, the pilot from the other plane managed to establish a connection, but the conversation was distorted and full of static, making it difficult to understand. This unexpected contact only added to the mystery and fear surrounding the situation. Then, in the early hours of the morning when everything is usually quiet, a startling event occurred at 2:22 a.m. The Malaysian military, who monitor the skies, lost track of the missing plane over the Andaman Sea, a vast and mysterious body of water. This sudden loss of radar contact hinted that something bad might have happened. As if the situation couldn't get worse, at 2:40 a.m., the air traffic controllers monitoring the flight gave Malaysia Airlines some shocking news. Flight MH370 had completely disappeared from their radar. They could no longer see it. This news made Malaysia Airlines extremely anxious. They quickly began a desperate search to find the missing airplane, reaching out to anyone and everyone who might have information: other air traffic controllers, pilots in the sky, and anyone else who might know something. They were urgently seeking any clues about where Flight MH370 could be. By the time the sun started to rise at 5:30 a.m., the search had intensified even further. The searchers were focusing their efforts on two main areas: the South China Sea and the Gulf of Thailand, the last known locations where the plane had made contact. Their search was becoming more determined as they worked tirelessly to discover the fate of the missing aircraft. Back then, when the mysterious disappearance of the plane hit the news, it quickly became a hot topic across the globe. People from different walks of life came forward with their sightings. However, on March 19, 2014, reports started pouring in from all sorts of people: fishermen, oil rig workers, and locals from places like Kuta, Huadu, ATL, and the Maldives. They all claimed to have seen an airplane that looked just like Flight MH370. Some of these sightings were incredibly specific, such as a fisherman near Kota Baru, who described seeing a plane flying unusually low, a strange and unsettling sight. The puzzle surrounding the missing plane continued to grow as reports of eerie sightings and theories spread far and wide. In the vast, silent waters of Vietnam, about 1,863 meters southeast of a place called Wong, something strange took place. An oil rig worker, while going about his usual day, saw something that sent chills down his spine. He reported seeing flames in the sky early in the morning, a sight no one wants to witness. This account was taken seriously by Vietnamese authorities, prompting them to start a search and rescue mission to uncover the truth behind the mysterious flames. The mystery deepened further when Indonesian fishermen shared their chilling story of seeing a plane crashing near the Malacca Straits. This added another layer of uncertainty and fear to the already puzzling case of Flight MH370. Then, just when it seemed the story couldn't get any more unusual, a British woman sailing across the vast Indian Ocean stepped forward 3 months after the plane disappeared. She claimed to have seen a plane engulfed in flames, adding her account to the haunting list of mysterious sightings. These various reports painted a disturbing picture, making the vanishing of Flight MH370 even more enigmatic. With all these different yet eerie accounts, the question is, what truly happened to the plane and its passengers? Different events that happened during the course of Flight MH370. The search for answers surrounding the mysterious disappearance of Flight MH370 took on a life of its own, evolving and shifting in unexpected directions. At first, investigators focused their efforts on the South China Sea, where the plane was last known to be flying. But then a surprising twist changed everything. Flight MH370 was found to have deviated from its planned route, instead heading west. This discovery prompted a significant change in the investigation's focus. The search expanded to include new areas, such as the Strait of Malacca and the depths of the Andaman Sea. These shifts were just the beginning of a complex mystery that continued to deepen over time. Clues began to emerge in the form of signals from the missing plane, sent to a satellite. These signals were cryptic, hinting that the plane had stayed in the air for about 6 hours after it had disappeared from radar. This revelation was a shock. The plane had flown silently and unseen for hours, its true path unknown. A turning point in the story came on March 15th, a week after the plane vanished. New information came from a company called Inmarsat. Although they couldn't pinpoint the plane's exact location, they offered critical data about its possible paths. The data suggested that Flight MH370 may have ended up in one of two vastly different regions, either in the southern Indian Ocean southwest of Australia or heading north over areas from Vietnam to Turkestan. Faced with these potential paths, the search teams had to make a major pivot. They stopped searching in the South China Sea and the Gulf of Thailand and redirected their focus. However, there was skepticism about the northern route. If the plane had traveled north, it would have had to pass through skies heavily monitored by various countries' military radars, a challenging prospect. In short, the search for MH370 became a roller coaster ride of surprises and uncertainties. Every new piece of information was added to the puzzle, and the mystery deepened with each twist and turn. Imagine the confusion and disappointment as the search for Flight MH370 seemed to hit a dead end. Experts and governments felt sure their radar systems would have caught any strange aircraft entering their airspace. So, the theory that the plane took a northern route was quickly dismissed, leaving investigators stumped, and the question became, was a paranormal force responsible for this disappearance? However, investigators bent on getting answers pushed the search to focus on the southern hemisphere, particularly the vast and remote Indian Ocean southwest of Australia. The larger search area added a new layer of difficulty to an already baffling situation. On a somber day, March 24, 2014, Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak delivered heartbreaking news. A detailed review of the final signals from the plane, with the assistance of Inmarsat and the UK Air Accidents Investigation Branch, showed the plane's last known location over the southern Indian Ocean. This remote area offered no hope of a safe landing, leading to the grim conclusion that the plane most likely crashed into the sea. The loss weighed heavily on everyone connected to Flight MH370, as it carried 239 souls. It was a devastating blow and, at the time, marked the most tragic incident involving a Boeing 777. This unfortunate record stood for 131 days until, tragically, another Malaysia Airlines Boeing 777-200ER, Flight 17, was shot down on July 17, 2014, claiming 298 lives. At this point, lots of people have lost hope. The journey to uncover the fate of Flight MH370 became the most expensive search mission in aviation history. It was an intense effort, full of challenges due to the possibility that the plane went down in a remote part of the ocean, far from any accessible location. On April 6, 2014, there was a glimmer of hope when an Australian ship, sailing in a remote part of the ocean, detected what they believed to be signals from the missing plane's black box. These sounds were picked up around 1,240 miles northwest of Perth, a coastal city in Western Australia. The coordinates of these signals matched with data from Inmarsat, a satellite company, making the clues seem promising. However, there was an urgent concern. If the sounds were indeed from Flight MH370, the black box's battery life was nearly depleted and would soon stop functioning. To investigate this potential lead, a robotic submarine was deployed to explore the ocean floor. This was a daunting task, as the signals were detected over a vast area, and despite the submarine's extensive search efforts, no wreckage from the plane was discovered. As time passed, doubts arose that the signals might have been interference from the submarine's equipment rather than from the black box itself. Still, the search teams persisted with determination until June 2015, but unfortunately, they didn't recover any plane debris. Then on July 29, 2015, a significant breakthrough occurred when a piece of the plane's right wing, known as the flaperon, washed up on a beach on Reunion Island. This island is situated far from the initial search area, about 2,300 miles west of the Indian Ocean. In the following 18 months, other potential plane fragments appeared on beaches in places such as Tanzania, Mozambique, South Africa, Madagascar, and Mauritius. Out of these findings, 26 pieces were suspected to be from the missing plane. 3 were confirmed as belonging to Flight MH370, and 17 were highly likely to be parts of the lost aircraft. 2 of these fragments came from inside the plane, suggesting it might have broken apart. However, whether this disintegration occurred while the plane was still in the air or upon impact with the water remains uncertain. Examining pieces of the wing found on Reunion Island and in Tanzania offered some intriguing hints about what may have occurred just before the plane disappeared. The plane did not seem to have been guided down gently to land on the water. Rather, some experts suggested Flight MH370 might have crashed into the water abruptly and steeply. In January 2017, Malaysia, Australia, and China announced they would end their official search for Flight MH370. However, a US-based company, Ocean Infinity, obtained permission from Malaysia to continue the search. This extended effort persisted until May 2018, when Malaysia's Transport Ministry declared that the additional search had concluded without finding the plane. In mid-2018, Malaysian officials released a report on the disappearance of Flight MH370. The report was notable for suggesting that the plane likely didn't vanish due to an accidental malfunction. Instead, it hinted that the plane may have been deliberately commandeered and its course manually altered. This added more complexity to the already perplexing mystery of what really happened to the flight. Despite substantial effort and various leads, the experts investigating the enigmatic case still struggled to pinpoint the exact cause of Flight MH370's disappearance. In the aftermath of the plane's vanishing, many speculated about potential scenarios. One unsettling possibility was that the plane could have been hijacked by someone taking control of the aircraft by force. This theory wasn't baseless. Some real pieces of evidence lent credibility to the idea. One of the most worrying discoveries was the presence of 2 passengers who had boarded the flight using stolen passports. The passports, originally from Austria and Italy, had been reported missing in Thailand over the past 2 years. This raised red flags and left authorities questioning how the individuals managed to board the plane without detection. Interpol, a global organization that assists police across various countries, confirmed the passports were listed in their database of stolen and missing passports. The fact that these passports were not flagged at the time of boarding was a significant oversight, leading to questions about airport security and international travel safety. The issue gained further scrutiny when Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, Malaysia's Minister of Internal Security, expressed his displeasure with border security officials for allowing the 2 passengers with stolen passports to board the plane. These individuals had purchased one-way tickets through China Southern Airlines, and the tickets were bought with cash. A call from an Iranian man in Bangkok had initiated the purchase of these tickets, which were the cheapest options to Europe. Investigators later discovered the 2 passengers were young Iranian men, aged 19 and 29. They had entered Malaysia using their real passports in late February. Speculation began that these individuals might have been seeking asylum and attempting to find a safe haven in another country. Even Interpol suggested the case might not be related to terrorism. Following Flight MH370's disappearance, American and Malaysian investigative teams conducted thorough background checks on all passengers and crew. Meanwhile, the Chinese government took a close look at its citizens on board. In the end, no evidence emerged indicating any passengers were linked to violent activities or terrorism. Despite the initial fears surrounding the use of stolen passports, the investigations into the passengers' backgrounds revealed no further evidence of nefarious intentions. The focus then shifted back to solving the mystery of Flight MH370 and discovering what had caused the tragic loss of the plane and all those on board. More theories emerges. Another aspect of this enigmatic tale involves Kazakhstan, a country unexpectedly linked to the story due to one key figure, a flight engineer. This man, who worked for a Swiss company specializing in jet rentals, stood out to investigators due to his extensive knowledge of aircraft and their operations. His expertise raised questions about whether he could have played a role in taking control of the plane, given his understanding of how to pilot and manage such vessels. Was he working for any secret organization, or was he paid to do something sinister? As speculation continued, an intriguing yet unsettling theory emerged: the possibility that Russian spies might have hijacked the plane. Proponents of this idea believed that the spies deliberately crashed the plane in a desolate area of Kazakhstan as a distraction from Russia's activities in Crimea, a region fraught with geopolitical tension. Although this scenario resembled something straight out of a spy thriller, it lacked concrete evidence to support it. Meanwhile, the story took another turn, with reports suggesting that the cell phones of the passengers and crew were still producing sounds when called, despite the plane's unknown whereabouts. The families of the missing individuals were both distraught and hopeful as they continued to dial their loved ones' numbers. The sound of ringing phones fueled their hope that the plane had not been lost at sea, but rather remained intact somewhere, awaiting discovery. Even though families held on to a small glimmer of hope when they heard ringing phones, experts soon explained the situation. They said that just because a phone rings doesn't mean the call has reached the person you're trying to contact. The phone company's system searches for the phone and attempts to connect the call. If it can't establish a connection after several tries, the ringing stops. The sad truth is that the ringing families heard might have just been the phone company's system searching for the phones, not the phones themselves ringing. While this explanation made sense from a technical perspective, it didn't ease the pain and confusion of the families who were still left wondering about their missing loved ones. Additionally, the plane was flying over the Gulf of Thailand one night when something unexpected happened. Suddenly, without any warning, the plane turned around and flew back over land, passing over big cities and small villages. None of the passengers, whether they were on vacation or traveling for work, made any contact with the outside world after the plane changed its direction. No text messages, phone calls, or social media posts came from the plane, making the mystery even deeper and leading many to worry about what might have happened. People wondered why there was no communication from anyone on board. Could it be that the plane was too high in the sky for the phones to work? Did the passengers try to send messages and fail? These unanswered questions made the situation even more confusing and unsettling. This lack of communication has sparked a lot of debate and speculation among experts. Many passengers were from Malaysia and China, where almost everyone uses a phone, especially when they're traveling. There are a few possible explanations. The plane might have been flying too high in the sky for cell phones to function properly. Or maybe the passengers tried to send messages, but their attempts failed. These unanswered questions only add to the puzzling mystery of what happened. As the investigation continues, everyone is searching for any piece of evidence that might shed light on the situation. After the plane changed its course, military radar detected unusual behavior. Flight MH370 climbed to an astonishing altitude of 45,000 feet, far above its typical cruising height. Then, it dropped sharply to around 23,000 feet, before climbing back up to 29,500 feet. This unpredictable behavior could account for why the passengers' phones were out of service. Whether or not the passengers tried to use their phones during the flight, the extreme altitudes likely hindered any connection with cell towers on the ground. This detail adds another layer to the ongoing investigation, leaving everyone eager for answers. Recently, in the ongoing search to understand why Flight MH370 suddenly changed course and disappeared, U.S. investigators delved into the possibility of intentional actions from within the cockpit. They suggested that the plane might have been purposely flown towards the Indian Ocean. To get to the bottom of this, Malaysian authorities conducted thorough investigations into the personal lives of the pilots and crew. They looked into the homes of the pilots and examined their financial records, including bank and credit card activities, of all 12 crew members on board, searching for any clues that might explain the plane's disappearance. Investigators turned their attention to the last hours of the flight and the crew's lives to piece together what might have happened. The captain's secret route quickly became a focus of the investigation. A month after the plane disappeared, Malaysia's top police officer revealed they had spoken to more than 170 individuals, including pilots and crew members' families. A key development in the investigation centers around Captain Zahari Ahmed Shah's flight simulator at home. An interesting and possibly crucial discovery was made when specialists uncovered a deleted flight route on the simulator. This route closely matched the course of MH370, tracing its trajectory toward the Southern Ocean and ending at a remote island. This finding sparked speculation about Zahari's potential connection to the plane's mysterious disappearance. Zahari was facing personal struggles around the time of the incident, including marital separation, which can be a difficult and emotional experience for anyone. He was also troubled by a relative's 5-year prison sentence shortly before the flight, which may have compounded his stress. Despite these challenges, Zahari's wife strongly dismissed the idea that he could be involved in anything untoward, as did his friends and family. They painted a picture of Zahari as a dedicated family man and committed pilot who would never harm others. In partnership with the FBI, Kuala Lumpur police thoroughly examined Zahari's flight simulator and found no clear evidence pointing to sinister intentions on his part. Attention then shifted to the co-pilot, Fari Abdul Hamid, who was said to have made a phone call while the plane flew at a low altitude over Malaysia's coastline. The call, though brief, was established with a Penang State Tower, but then abruptly ended as the plane moved out of range too quickly to maintain the connection. The details of this phone call remain shrouded in mystery and have given rise to much speculation. Who was Fari trying to contact at that moment, and what was the purpose of the call? Officials and investigators chose to remain silent, keeping the details of the call's recipient and purpose under wraps, which fueled an explosion of speculation and rumors. Amidst this silence, some suggested that Fari, possibly struggling with personal problems, might have taken a drastic step, commandeering the plane, shutting down its systems, and sealing himself off in the cockpit. If true, this would have been a deeply tragic turn of events, with the crew and passengers in grave danger, unable to access the cockpit at such a critical moment. This speculation introduced layers of darkness and sorrow to the already complex and somber story of Flight MH370, intensifying the mystery and heightening the sense of tragedy. Speculations also surrounded Fariq's personal life, particularly his romantic relationships. Perhaps he felt so overwhelmed by his challenges that he saw this drastic act as a way out of his suffering. This theory painted a picture of a man at the end of his rope, with no other options, a deeply moving and dramatic narrative. However, it's essential to look at different aspects of his life that counter this bleak view. Fari was not just any pilot. He was deeply in love and on the brink of starting a new chapter in his life. He was engaged to Captain Nadira Ramli, a 26-year-old pilot from another airline, and their relationship seemed to bring him great happiness and fulfillment. This planned marriage paints a picture of a man looking forward to a bright future, not someone ready to face an end. Fariq has a promising future ahead. He was excitedly looking forward to his marriage with Captain Nadira Ramli, a fellow pilot from another airline. This upcoming marriage suggested a man with dreams and hopes, eager to embrace his future rather than seeking a tragic ending. Fariq was not just committed to his personal life, but also deeply passionate about his career. Flying wasn't merely a job for him, it was his calling, something he pursued with great enthusiasm and devotion. His peers admired his dedication and the way he approached his role as a pilot with pride and professionalism. This strong connection to both his personal and professional life makes it hard to imagine him deliberately choosing a path toward a tragic outcome. His joy in his relationship and love for his career provided him with solid reasons to live life fully. These factors challenge the notion that he was overcome by personal distress to the point of steering the flight off course on purpose. The stark difference between the bleak theories about his mindset and the tangible evidence of a man who cherished his upcoming marriage and his work adds complexity to the mystery. It urges us to approach the situation thoughtfully, considering all aspects of his life. The mystery surrounding Flight MH370 remains one of the most perplexing aviation mysteries. With different theories and speculation, one can't help but wonder what could actually have happened given the presence of lots of investigations, which still didn't give a tangible answer to what might have caused the flight to vanish. What do you think is at the core of this mystery? Does the new information shift your perspective? Share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.